welcome back to Revamp, guys. Back here, part 2 on the VJ Valiant / Dodge Ute. Got all the front end of it out. I've been splitting that apart, cleaning some parts up. As you saw in the last episode, Graham got a head start on the exhaust, so that's looking good. First thing we're going to tackle is this rail where we found that little bit of rust. Now I'll just show you what we've got. Got these great laser cut laminate sections. They're from Hemi Performance. They're made of quite decent material. We've given them a quick blast with some weld-through primer on the inside, just so we don't get any rust issues trapped in there when we put them on. Apparently they just slip straight over the rails where you've cleaned up for welding and all that kind of stuff, and a little bit of a bend here where it's got a little bend line, and they will go on. They come left and right. Mostly people use the right for steering box issues, but ours is obviously the left for rust issues, but we're going to fit the right one as well while we're at it. So if you're a Valiant guy, probably look them up. They look like a decent product and you'll get to see what they're like to fit. So other than that, this episode we'll probably try and get the front end back together. We at least need the cross member in so Graham can finish off the exhaust, and yeah, we'll just have a look around, and we've got a little bit of a list of a few other things that we've found with it that we're going to try and do, so we'll get on with those as well. So if you like this content, subscribe to the channel, give us a like, and let's get into the video. We'll just start giving it a little quick once over, see if we find any other spots popping up. It's a little bit up here, so just do a little wire wheel. So you can see straight away, you start hitting it with a wire wheel and starts showing up just how bad some of it is. You can see we've got some rust, maybe a crack across the bottom, extra bit of a hole there. Give this area a little go. A couple of little holes there, but nothing too bad. Alright, so that's open straight up. I'm assuming it's going to do the same here. Alright, so we can see that, yeah, that's opened up quite a bit there. And even all the way up the front there has opened up as well. You can see the holes. See if we can get you in there. There you go, you can see the holes there have opened up. A couple of really small holes here, but this is our main worry area. And all this is actually stemmed from that rotted out battery tray leaking acid all the way down. Not acid, so to speak, but like water with acid in it, like battery acid in it. So even though we are doing a laminate over it, we'll still cut these sections out, put a plate in, and then we'll do the laminate over the top so that, you know, we know it's 100% strong. Alright, so you can see we've cleaned it up a bit. I've marked out sort of a rough idea of where we need to cut out to make some patch panels. Graham's probably going to take over doing all that. But the important thing is we've got to cut these out, clean out inside the rail, seal up all inside the rail, put the patch panels on, and then clean all the rail up so that the laminate rail fits over the top so we can weld it in and make it all strong again. We've got our templates made. Now, I've made these templates just a fraction larger than the yellow marks I've made on here. So I'll cut the inside of this yellow marks, or Graham will cut the inside of this yellow marks, and then we'll just trim till our patch panel fits properly. So that's going to be the next step on fixing this rail. Alright, so with a little bit of a session with the spot blaster and the grinders and sanders and stuff, we've got our major areas cut out, and we've sort of blasted and sanded roughly about where we're going to put the laminate sleeve for the rail. You can see we found those extra holes up the top there. We blasted lightly inside the rails there. There's not a great deal we can do in there other than try to treat what we can see. So we've cleaned up the outside, most of the paint there. We'll put some weld through primer underneath the sleeve when it goes on to make sure it's all sealed up. And it looks like we're going to have to do some trimming to go around these various suspension and brake parts. Yeah, but I'll explain that when we get to it. So we've got some patches cut out, trimmed, ready to fit. This big one here is ready to go. So we put some weld through primer just all inside where we're going to weld. Just helps seal things up. I've got it going on up here as well, all inside there. Still got to trim these ones up, make them fit better, but yeah, this one's ready to go, so I should be able to show you what it looks like in a minute once she's all tacked in there. So Graham's got the welder up there, got the patches going on, you know, so she's coming along nicely. The floor on the other hand, yes, we've done a bit of a number on the floor at the moment. A little bit of sandblasting inside the rail, and that's some of our rust patches that we've cut out. Like I was saying, Graham's up there, got the welder going. Got him! Alright, so we've got these chassis sleeves. They're called basically a laminate piece that goes over the chassis rail. They came from Hemi Performance. Now, on their website they do state that, you know, just clean up the chassis rails and forcefully press these on. They do have a bend line here, they come straight. What we've actually found is that, and from talking to the company, is that by clean the rails, they're actually talking about remove all these suspension brackets, remove the idler arm bracket as well, all those kind of things. Basically remove everything off the chassis rails so you have clean rails to then press these over the top. For my liking, that changes some of your steering geometry because they're talking about removing steering components. All right, we removed the bump stop mount or bump stop pad just to check if it's got rust and stuff underneath it. We have decided not to remove these, just for simplicity, or as per the owners asked. So what we need to do is try and mark out the sections of this sleeve that we've got to cut out, and just trim it until it fits nicely to where we need it. So did a little trimming around there and got the bolts in, and the front half is looking pretty good. So the inside's looking good. Now just got to trim up this back section so that it fits. A little trimming around the brake hose here, and obviously around the steering component, the idler arm mount, which was our main concern for not, along with the suspension mounts, for not removing the bracketry off the rail. So yeah, we'll give this section, this hanging down section, a bit of a trim, and it should be fine. So we've got our little rust patches done. Got most of the rail cleaned up. We'll go give it a once over. The inside's looking pretty good. Again, a couple of little spots that we've got to just go over and clean up so it's nice to weld. And then we'll give it a coat of weld through primer underneath it all. And it should be good to seal it all up. And then weld it in, paint it up over the top. So as you can see, we've chopped quite a few bits out here and there of the sleeve. Cut a big section out over the back here. That's just so that we can get it all to fit how we need it to. And yeah, you can see we've got the inside of this done with the weld through primer already. Yeah, like I was saying, just to give it that bit of corrosion protection inside. But yeah, let's look at how it fits up. So yeah, she's fitted in. You can see where we've trimmed around some things. That'll squash up a bit at the back there. We're just going to mark it roughly where it sits. And yeah, so we know where we need to put the weld through primer and keep clean and so forth. You can see on the inside how it sits around the idler arm mount and underneath there. There she is, all prepped up. Got that weld through primer on there. Got it on both sides. Ready to go. Gave a little fresh quick coat inside the rail again. So we're ready to force this up there, clamp it on, and then get some welds going on there. So I got the rail in there. We've just got the front half all supported up at the moment. Got a few clamps on there, as you can see. We've used the K-frame bolts as well, just to hold it in there. And yeah, as you can see, we've got the all the clamps and everything up there. Graham's going to get a few tacks into it, and then we'll work our way and get the whole thing tacked in first, I think. Yeah. Yeah. And then, yeah, then he's going to come back and probably stitch weld it all in, I would say. And then it should be right to put that bump stop pad back on and move to the other side. I promised Jack Graham that I wouldn't zoom in close yet, although I reckon he's got nothing to worry about. But yeah, we've got that welded in. The outside here with the unusual shape, we mostly welded it all the way in. You can see a couple of stitches at the front. But yeah, just because of that unusual shape, it was hard to really like get the stitches evenly spaced and then still get all the areas that we needed to weld. Then on the inside, across the top, we did stitches on that long section. And then, yeah, just got the welds on where we needed. Around the idler arm mount there. Just leaving a couple of openings at the bottom in case some moisture needs to come out. But yeah, we'll give it a little clean up, recheck our welds, make sure that they're looking good. And yeah, then it should be not far off paint. So we've got it all cleaned up now. Yeah, I'm more than happy with the job. Of course, Graham, ever the perfectionist, can pick some spots out, but you know, we're going to seam seal around these welds and stuff, particularly around the top edges, like up here and you know, all around here. But yeah, we've got this side all done. We've got to put the bump stop pad back on just there. But I'll have a look at the inside. And yeah, all the inside's on. You can see where we came in around that steering mount there. And there's a couple of spots left open like there, the front edge there, a couple of spots down here where we stitched it in. And according to Hemi Performance, they want the bottom of these rails left open slightly on some sections to apparently let moisture out. You know, whether that's true or not, I'm usually not a big fan of welding straight across chassis rails anyway. So, yeah. So now we've got the other side to contend with, now that we've sort of worked out how to do it and everything. So I've got a big cleanup on this side. And yeah, this side we've obviously got to take the steering box off as well. So we'll just continue on with that. Probably won't even show that unless there's anything in particular that we want to, that we thought you might want to see. So yeah, bit of primer and a bit of paint, and she'll be right to go to put the K-frame back in. All right, so one thing we did was we just made a bit of a rough template of how we cut this one out, because like I said, we're not removing all the suspension mounts and brake line mounts, etc., off the rail. We decided to make the other side a little bit easier. We will just do a little template of what we did cut out, and yeah, just so it makes the other side easier, give us a little bit of a guide. So you can see we just, particularly for this front half of it, but we can just pop that on there, give it a bit of an outline, and we've got a rough idea of the cutout. We might cut a little bit less here on this one, just because on the passenger side we needed a little bit more cut out so that we could feed it in behind the idler arm mount. But yeah, just a little bit of a tip that we did just to make the other side a bit quicker. Graham's just given his welds a little wipe over.
Yeah, hey, man.
But yeah, this side went a lot smoother because the integrity of the rail was a bit better, we think. There was a little bit of oil contamination around the steering box mounts and that, but like, I mean, that's pretty much to be expected for that kind of thing. It's a bit dark, you can't see in there, but yeah, you can see we've welded around the steering box all the way down there. So we did decide to stitch this side just because, well, really it was welding a lot nicer, and we were able to just sort of space out the stitches where we wanted them. But yeah, we'll give it a quick clean up. And then we've got the landing pad for the bump stop to just put back on there. And yeah, then like the other side, it'll be ready for some paint. All right, there we go. She's all primed and painted and sealed up. You can see we painted a little extra around just to make it sort of blend in. You know, don't want it to stand out any more than it already does. But you can see the rail on there, welded along. We've got our cross member in. I actually did end up sandblasting those. I'll put a couple of photos in and then painted them as well. I did the control arms as well. But that's all in. See the other side. Now I haven't finished painting this side because, as you can see, we've still got the rust from the battery tray to attend to. But yeah, you can see we painted all around the control arm mounts, and you can see where the sleeve comes all the way down, comes along. Got our bump stop pads welded back on. We actually did the inside of the rails in white just to sort of try and blend in a bit with the engine bay. And for good measure, while we had the K-frame out, we fitted some new engine mounts, and we've also fitted a new transmission mount as well. Now that the engine's sitting on the K-frame again, we've got those new mounts in there. Graham can get back to doing the new exhaust system for it. You can see we've taken it all out. It's been a lot more work than what we thought, but it's coming along. All right, so there you go. A little bit more work than what we expected. We did expect to just be doing a suspension rebuild, a few other bits and pieces with the new exhaust, but something had to be done, absolutely necessary to fix that rust in the rail around where the K-frame mounts. And while we're at it, it seemed, the smart thing to do to reinforce the rails. So if you're doing that job yourself, we did it a little bit different to how they actually say to do it. So a couple of different ways you can do it. Give yourself a good 2 to 3 days to do it if you're doing it at home. You should be pretty handy on the welder and, potentially fixing rust repairs as well. But definitely worth doing. Like I said before, most people just do the right-hand side for cracking issues around the steering box. But because we had the rust on the left-hand side, we did both. So I've still got a few things to do. We've got the battery tray, the suspension, and the exhaust to finish up. But she's coming along quite nicely and should be a great ute to drive once we're finished. If you like this content, subscribe to the channel, give us a like, look us up on Facebook, and I'll catch you up next time on Next Gen Revamp.